over the next hour. Football right now is the biggest story in the world. The biggest monies in the world. Billions of dollars are being spent on it. So we figured, instead of being party to reading the stories, let's get ahead of it. Let's go to Saudi Arabia and find out about this influx of the biggest names in world football and where they're going. What's happening in Saudi Arabia? What is this revolution that they're trying out for? But also, Ben Jacobs. If you follow Ben Jacobs on Twitter, you'll know that many people feed off his stories and what he's got to say because he's the man on the ground. So Ben Jacobs is going to be talking to us. I've got really one question. Lionel Messi choosing not to go to Saudi Arabia to be the highest paid sportsman of all time. I mean, when you look at the amount of money he was being offered in Saudi Arabia, in South African rands, it's trillions. Because I'm a billion, boy. I'm a billion. So we'll go to him, Jude Bellingham as well, going to Real Madrid. To all our viewers on Facebook, Twitter, a little bit later on YouTube as well. Hey, we see you. You can watch live as well. SABC Sport is where we are. But also, another thing we're going to be doing is, there's a man that many South Africans knew a long time ago, but he's since left the country. He's gone to Tanzania. After that, he's gone to Botswana to hone his skills. He now stands as one of the best administrators we've ever had. We give him a platform here. 13 after the hour 6. We're going to be giving away some stuff today. I see in front of me here, there's a lot of papers. I'll get through it. But we're giving away tickets because there is a match that's happening. South Africa versus Morocco. We're going to be giving you tickets away from that. I'll tell you exactly how it is that you can win yourself some tickets. But firstly, let's start the show off in a great way.
This segment is brought to you by Sasol, proud supporters of those who live the impossible.
Go Banyana Banyana, we are proud of you. Go live and live the impossible in Australia and New Zealand. We are behind you all the way. In South Africa, our support gives Banyana Banyana energy. Simply share your message to the team via WhatsApp. All you have to do is send a WhatsApp that says on 072-603-7325. If you don't have WhatsApp, you can always use USSD by dialing *120 *676 hash, and you'll be entered into a daily draw to win airtime and data. Send them your messages. The players are going to see it. They're going to hear it. Do a video with the kids dancing, whatever it is that you want to do, so that they get inspired and feel like we're with them, even as far away as New Zealand as well as Australia. T's and C's do apply. Visit www.sasol.com for more information.
This segment was brought to you by Sasol, proud supporters of those who live the impossible.
Metro FM mourns the passing of one of our very own, Lesiba Marokana.
And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Metro FM's beloved music compiler. We send our heartfelt condolences to his family, colleagues, and friends. Rest in peace, Lesiba. Thank you for your contribution to the culture. Your influence will live forever.
Timmy's going to be taking your calls over the next hour because it's a big one. The first ever African nation to reach the FIFA World Cup semi-finals are ready to face Mzansi's Bafana Bafana in the second leg contest of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in Group K. I'm talking about the Atlas Lions. It's a huge match between South Africa and Morocco, and it's one that we can enjoy, knowing, of course, that we have qualified. And there's a squad announcement tomorrow as well, so you'll know exactly who's going to be playing because we'll deal with that here on our show, Sports Not Amplified with Andile. I'm trying to see here. Oh, here's the question that Timmy's put forward. What time does the South Africa versus Morocco match start on the 17th of June, 2023? That's the question. It's that simple. Give Timmy a call and you could get yourself that double ticket. We'll maybe do it tomorrow again. 086-000-2160. Give Timmy a call and you can get yourself a double ticket. Please do note that you must be able to take yourself to the stadium to get yourself there and collect your tickets here from the SABC in Auckland Park. Hopefully when you do come here, it's on time that we are on air and we can be able to see you and we meet and you grab your tickets from us. It's 16 after the hour 6. I promised you a conversation. It's one that we've been meaning to have for a while now. Senzo Mbatha. He's out now in Botswana. He's the Botswana Premier League CEO, respected South African football administrator, and former Young Africans and Simba Sports Club CEO. And he's now currently, like I said, the CEO of the Botswana Football League. He's no stranger, of course, to working in South Africa as well. You remember him here. I think it was at Tuks at some point. I remember him at Orlando Pirates at some point. When we did the 2010 FIFA World Cup, he was the deputy tournament director. He's gone on to do big things. And I just felt, here's an administrator at a time when we're asking who's leading South African football, who's leading African football, yet this man's name should be in every corridor. Senzo, it's been so long. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for talking to us. I know we've been meaning to do this for a long time.
Andile, thank you very much for that resounding intro. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be speaking to you. I know that I've been postponing because of time and all that, but it get to happen. I would have loved to be in the studio so that you are not interrupted by any technical issues. But
are you in Botswana?
I'm on the show. Yeah, I'm in Botswana now.
But the league is over, man. I thought you'd be coming home.
You know, we administrators, this is our busiest time when people are on break. You know, we need to prepare for the league that is coming up. So this is our busiest time ever.
I was very surprised to see you leave Tanzania because I thought to myself, here's a place where you fit in so well, where you're so appreciated and loved, but also the work you're doing to elevate that league, to elevate those teams into the African continent was amazing.
Look, we always appreciative of such opportunities, Andile, but I think at times, you know, there are things that, you know, are not in the open that are at play. And then you always have to time your exit, make sure that it's done in a respectable way, make sure that you leave a good legacy. You know, just that you know when to leave. I think I played my part in Tanzania. I think I could not have contributed more than that I did. And also personally, I think I was looking at a certain career pathway. You know, I've done club football for as long as I can remember. So I think it was also a career change, so to speak, you know, to try and get to a level where, you know, you are in a more a responsible position, like running a league or running an association, things like that. So I thought Botswana provided that particular opportunity for me, and I could not say no to the offer.
Senzo, somebody who's listening right now and they're like, we remember, Jay, in the back of our minds, Senzo in South Africa, and we need to tell them about what you've done since. If I say to you, what is on your CV as accolades, as victories from Tanzania that you put on, that you took forward now when you were saying, Botswana, I'm putting up my hand. What are some of those accolades that you'd put your hand up and say, yeah, no, this is the reason why I'm the administrator I am. This is what I've done.
I think most of all, I think I went to Tanzania at a time where they were looking to professionalize their clubs, looking at putting structures and processes in place to ensure that they're running profitable football clubs. So I think my contribution was the transformation of both the clubs into ensuring that they are becoming a fully professional clubs. You know, those clubs are run by members. You know, they will elect a committee to run the club. You know, so I think I was the first, especially at both clubs, to be a CEO who comes in and you know, becomes the CEO, a responsible man. You know, and of course you work with other members of the club. You know, clubs have got different structures, but the professional wing was brought in my mind by my introduction to Tanzania. I think secondly, people started realizing what is the role of a CEO in a football club, because I think I was very vocal on how we should drive the business. I was very vocal on how to respect the systems, you know, and how to respect the role of the coach and the clinical bench, you know, respecting the contracts that we have with our players, you know, paying our players on time, you know, and sticking to budgets. You know, I think that came to light to most of the Tanzanian followers of football, and I think I've created some sort of a benchmark that everybody wanted to be at in terms of how we manage the club. You know, it didn't end there. You know, when I was at Simba, I managed to be part of the team that has won 2 trophies in my maiden year. Then I left Simba to Young Africans, and in the first year, when I went to Yanga, they had not won any trophy in the 4 years. No trophy, not even one in 4 years. And then there was a sponsor that was coming on board, which is GSM.
I want to just hold it there for 2 seconds, Senzo, to take a quick break. We'll carry on the younger story when we come back. This is Sports that Amplified with Andile. We're going to be going to Europe in just a few. Lionel Messi is a big one. Jude Bellingham having signed for Real Madrid. Which other deals are still coming? Which deals are confirmed? Manchester United, that deal as well seems to be imminent now. Are we going to be seeing a Saudi-owned Manchester City and Manchester United? Newcastle. The Saudi eruption seems to be taking over the world. What does it all mean? Ben Jacobs is going to be joining us in a few. But right now, son of the soil is what I like to call him. A humble brother who's gone out of his comfort space to go outside of South Africa to make a living and earn himself notoriety across the continent. Senzo Mbatha, Botswana Premier League CEO, is talking to us at the moment. Senzo, we were still telling a story about how you moved on. And as you're saying that, I was thinking in the break, during the time that you were there, and I'm not sure if it's always been like that, but there was a prominence of both Simba and Young and Young Africans, and we see it now even on continental competitions.
Yeah, look, I think the two clubs have always wanted to be, they were aspiring to be at that level. And credit to Simba, who were really, serious about their business, and they were the first to start making waves. Though Younger became only later after Simba was there. But one is not one to say it because of friends, but I think I contributed immensely in terms of ensuring that these clubs, number one, they are known. People understand what these clubs are standing for. I think you would agree with me that most of my fellow countrymen started following these clubs while I was already there. Because I could tell the stories. I could document stories. So I think it really is something that I cherish to be part of that. And I think the investment that the government in that country has made into football, including the broadcaster like Azam TV, that has assisted to take the football in general to a different level. That country is a big footballing nation. They always wanted to be among the best in the African continent. So I'm not surprised where they are, and I think this is work that has been done in the last 3-4 years, and now it's starting to show some fruit.
Since I was going to wait till towards the end to say this, but piggybacking on what you're saying now, you've worked in South Africa, worked for one of the biggest teams in South Africa, worked for one of the most well-run teams in South Africa, as far as tax is concerned as well. You've gone on to Tanzania, where football in Tanzania is not what we think at the scale of South Africa as far as financially and maybe even as far as administration is concerned. Now you're in Botswana. You are sitting at a perfect place to do a comparison of Southern Africa, Tanzania as well, to say, where are we in football in this region? Because we hear of the billions and the hundreds of millions that the PSL is making and the sponsors that come on and the kind of money. You're in two leagues that aren't as fortunate. Yet, when you look at what the Botswana national team has done when they've qualified for, AFCONs, et cetera, when you look at what the Tanzanian teams are doing, I then begin to wonder, what is it that we are doing or not doing?
I think, number one, I think there must be a understanding and acceptance that the Tanzania are a different breed in terms of how they support their football. Because the support is not only the people that are going to the matches, but it goes to the sponsors, it goes to the government, it goes everybody who's in Tanzania really wants to see football prospering. I think it's one of the few social elements that everybody comes together at one and becomes one nation. And then I would say that the difference, though, is that in the southern part, specifically in South Africa, we've got a very big economy. We were fortunate that we hosted a World Cup, and that came with a number of positive spin-offs in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of roads, stadium infrastructure, even capacity in terms of the caliber of talent that we have in the country. So we are fortunate in that aspect. But the difference is that when you go to Tanzania, is that there's just passion everywhere. They might not be at the level in terms of where we are as a country, but in terms of football, they've somehow surpassed us in terms of their focus in terms of doing well in the African.
Are we a
continent.
football-loving country then when you look at it that way? I mean, I know the support in Tanzania for anything entertainment, etc., but if you've seen those stadiums, if you've seen the merchandise that's being bought there, if you've seen, the billboards and how private sector has come on, and you look at our stadiums, as beautiful as they are, you look at our roads that lead to the stadia, as beautiful as they are, then I begin to wonder, are we even a football-loving country, Senzo?
I think we are a sport-loving country. Don't forget that South Africa is a very diverse country in terms of interest, needs, and likes. We've got rugby, we've got cricket, we've got choice in terms of where we are going. And also the culture, how people are raised, the schools that they go to, that also influences the type of sport that they follow. But difference in Tanzania, they do have other sporting codes, but there's nothing that is bigger or anything close to what football provides today. So everybody is rushing to that particular space, and they want to be part of that. And then also you don't forget that the stadium that they have, the main Mkapa Stadium is the main stadium that can host such big matches that we see on TV. But other than that, they have adequate stadiums that they can take 6,000 to 12,000 spectators. I mean, you can imagine if you fill a 6,000 or 12,000 seater stadium, the atmosphere that comes with that. That's what the difference is, in my view. And I think that we went on to build very huge stadiums that don't necessarily talk to the current environment that we find ourselves in. And also in South Africa, we are competing. I mean, I read reports that there was a sponsor that was given to SASCO with X amount of money, and I was crying to say this is a sponsor which was in football. So I think we are in a competition with other sporting codes, and also just the social events and whatever's happening in the country. People have got different interests. So that's how we defend South Africa in that.
So that's everywhere, man. There's entertainment everywhere. There's music everywhere. We don't fill up our stadiums the way, when Simba's playing.
It's true.
When the teams that you are part of, when they playing, you feel it. Through half the country, it's reverberating. Everybody's wearing the colors of Young Africans or of Simba. The streets can tell you. Nobody's in the street because everybody's either at the stadium or watching the game.
No, it's true. I cannot run away from the fact. I mean, I remember when we released the last kit when I was still younger. We had the pre-orders already. I mean, we had I think 380,000
unheard of
pieces of replica. So, I think the other thing that I must mention when Andile is that the culture of branches and support of the clubs is very, very prevalent and strong in Tanzania. So you go to Appington, there will be a very strong, functional a branch that is supporting the club. So the club, when it goes to Appington, for instance, if it's based in Johannesburg, it would feel like they're still in Johannesburg. So there's a very, very strong culture of ownership, and people are very close to their club. It's not as private as it is now currently in the country. So I think that's something that is working out for football in Tanzania. People are very close. People have got a say in their clubs. Though there's channels, but they have a say in how their clubs are managed. I think really that's another difference that we have with South African setup.
And now you're in Botswana, CEO of that league, and they would have seen what's happened in Tanzania. They would have said, we want the same. How would you describe what football is like in Botswana?
Botswana is a football like nation. When you walk around in Botswana, there's no way that you turn around and not find somebody wearing a zebra shirt or the colors of the zebras. So they are a nation that loves their football. But I think in the last 5 or so years, I think the sport has taken some beating. There's been a lot of negative perception about the football in the country. We've seen a number of sponsors pulling out. And there's that perception in the corporate Botswana that maybe are reconsidering their relationship with the league. But other than that, I think football is something that is loved. I mean, I see people playing the social soccer. The national first division is doing very well. the Premier League we've done well. We finished the league. We've awarded the trophy over the weekend. All the matches played on time. Things are going well. It's just that there is that element that we need to work on. There's this perception which is not that great. For whatever reasons. One has been here for 3 months or so. So it's something that we are working on. I've also gotten hold of a report that talks to the challenges that we are facing in football. But other than that, I think football is great here. The women's football is really, gone up in terms of support and how well they are doing in their respective competition. But I think the biggest challenge we are having ahead of us is the issue of sponsorship. We need to ensure that we get 1 or 2 sponsorships, get the charity cup going, get the top 8 going, and also announce a sponsor for the league. So those are the challenges that one has ahead of him. But we are ready for this challenge, and something that we need to work on, and we'll see where we get with it.
You signed a 1-year contract. Should I be reading anything into that?
No, you shouldn't. Sometimes when you're a foreigner like myself, you come to the shores of Botswana, there's a lot of expectations that when you come in, there must be somebody that you understudy. There must be somebody that, takes from you, and also people want to see if they're not bringing in Bombay, somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. So these are contracts in my view are in that context to see that we don't sign long-term contracts with somebody that cannot deliver. So I will leave it at that. In terms of what will happen after that, I'm not too sure. But I think one has done a great job so far in terms of, just clearing the office, setting out the governance, setting out some structures, and setting out some processes. So I think that's where we need to start. And I think now the next phase is really to ensure that we start going to the market and try and get a sponsor, especially for the league. I would be very happy that we can announce a sponsor for the league very soon. In terms of 1-year contract, it is what it is. I've always worked with contracts, and it doesn't bother me because my work talks and speaks for me.
So, how many teams or administrations in South Africa have come calling? You don't have to give me their names, but I just want to know. I mean, have they started, or is it something they to do? How many?
So I repeat the question again.
Have any South African federations or teams come calling it?
I think before I came to Botswana, I've had a couple of calls. Also we need to be, I'm not trying to refine anything like that, but when you commit to something, it must be something that that you'll be able to do a good job. You'll be allowed to do your work, and it's something that also assist you with your growth. So. And I cannot lie to you and say, no, I haven't had. I've had a couple, not only in South Africa, even back in Tanzania.
Are you ready to come home, Senzo?
At the right time. There's an old man that has been in football for so many years. He always says that the timing is very important. So I think that at the right time, when somebody calls me and asks me, I will come. No one can pick himself in a team, Andile. I can't say, no, I want to play number 11 for the Sunday league. No, somebody must pick me. Saying we play 11.
But do you want to come back at a club level administration, or do you want to come back at a federational level or institutional level?
I think football, we can never say what we want, but it's always good to be in football. And all I can say is that the next project that I'll have home must be a project that is something that is meaningful and that will change the lives and change the perception of South African football going forward.
Senzo, I appreciate you, and I know that we're going to keep having these conversations. A little bit later this year, perhaps in the next couple of months, I'll give you a call to congratulate you on your new job.
I received what they say. I received, but I'm happy. I think I'm looked after well here. Let me do my job and not just hop around. I'm looking forward to this project that I've started here. I
appreciate you. His name is Senzo Mbatha. Remember the name. If you didn't know it, now you do. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's go to Europe. A man that is very well sought after right now. Everybody wants to be Ben Jacobs' friend, or at least glued on to his Twitter account. Joins us, Ben Jacobs. Ben, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. What a time to be alive.
Unbelievable. Busy times, Saudi Arabia making moves, Messi going to Inter Miami, Manchester United takeover saga about to come to a close, at least over the next few weeks. And of course, the small matter of Fiorentina West Ham tonight in the UEFA Europa Conference League, and then the Champions League final at the weekend.
Jeez, what a time. But let's firstly quickly very touch on the Messi thing. I mean, nobody saw that coming. With the amounts of money that the likes of Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, now we're hearing N'Golo Kante as well, are taking, and Ziyech perhaps going to Saudi Arabia, is the kind of money that, only Tiger Woods can say he's ever turned it down when the live thing happened. Lionel Messi has decided he doesn't want to do that. He'd rather go to America?
Well, I don't think it's as strange as you sound, because Inter Miami have held talks with the Messi camp for the best part of 2 years, and they've always been prepared to be patient, but had a feeling that Messi would end up in MLS one day. Now, whether or not people thought that it would be over the course of 2023 and beyond is a debate, and I think this is why Messi will come out and explain his reasons in the coming hours. But with the World Cup in 2026 in America, whether Messi went to Saudi first or back to Barcelona first, Inter Miami have actually been confident for quite some time. And the reason for that is because both Messi and those close to MLS feel like it's a long-term plan for life after football. Messi has a property in Miami. It's the right fit for his family. It's a climate that he enjoys. It's full of people that he knows. And Inter Miami is, of course, David Beckham's club, which will help as well. And then MLS come in and will be able to offer him various incentives for life after football, which could potentially include some kind of franchise affiliation.
Which is what David Beckham got in the first place.
Exactly the same kind of format. Like, you can't just dish them out like confetti, but over time, and with what Messi would do for the league and its broadcast rights as well across the world, it's obvious that there is going to be business potential there. And then add to that the fact that there's brands that will be all over Messi, and that won't just be because of Messi, that will also be because of Messi plus American football growth, Messi plus the World Cup, and Messi plus non-football ventures after he eventually retires as well. So everyone looks at the Saudi offer and says, of course Messi could have made an incredible world record amount of money from that, but there'll be a fair amount of earning potential from Inter Miami, and I think when he comes to explain it, he'll point out that it was also just the right move for his family. And then on top of all of that, this Barcelona move, fueled by the Spanish press repeatedly, was never feasible. And it's all very well people getting excited about it. It was also fueled by Messi's father and agent, Jorge, too. But when you look at the numbers, the ability to go back to Barcelona was near impossible. So it became a straight choice between Saudi Arabia or America, and Messi has picked Inter Miami.
Now, here's a question that includes both the Saudis and the Americans here, Ben, because if you remember when the MLS started, when they were getting the likes of Pele, when they were getting some of the best players in the world to come and play in the MLS because they wanted to put a spotlight on American soccer, as it's known there, they did the exact same thing that you are seeing now in Saudi Arabia, where they said, okay, we want to make this thing a big, let's get some of the biggest stars and bring them here. It hasn't quite worked out in America, has it? Because that league is still not one of the most sought-after leagues. It's still not one of the leagues that are most watched in the world, although they've had the likes of David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, they've had Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the likes. Is Messi, one, going to essentially his retirement home, and two, with what the Saudis are doing, a repetition of what the Americans tried to do in the, I think it was the late 80s?
Well, I think in the late 80s and then building up to the 90s when America had a World Cup, football just wasn't as popular, and they didn't maximise that World Cup with any kind of legacy. I think that the 2026 World Cup is going to be different. The challenge for America in football is it's obviously competing against sports that are more popular and on at the same time, basketball and NFL in particular, baseball as well. And then the other thing is just the geography, which makes it quite tough because football culture is about home and away. Football culture is about rivalries. And when America is so big and there's a lot of other sport going on, it's very hard to have the same kind of culture. People don't travel to away games. People don't watch the games and consume football in the same way that they do across large parts of Europe. And then you also don't yet have the same kind of Champions League in North America at the same level and with the same intrigue. The South American Champions League is incredibly popular, and so is the European Champions League. But I think it's fair to say that in North America and also in Asia, that type of Champions League style tournament won't hit the same height. So there's a lot of moving pieces here that will make it very difficult for Messi and Messi alone to have an impact, especially because on the football field he may only have 2 or 3 seasons. But I think to call it retirement is unfair, because first of all, he's going to grow the game, so it's far more than just a football move. And second of all, because of the way the MLS calendar works, he may have other opportunities to go back to Europe and be loaned somewhere.
Like Thierry Henry did.
People are getting excited about maybe he'll go to Inter Miami and get loaned back to Barcelona. I still think that's going to be very difficult. Of course, Barcelona would be open to it, especially if Inter Miami are able to help them in any way financially, but still really tough. And even though we've heard rumours about loaning him back to Barcelona, and of course he'd be open to that, this is very much being billed by sources as an Inter Miami move, and they're saying they haven't spoken to Barcelona at this point. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But once you're at Inter Miami, who's to say he can't go and play Champions League football somewhere else? Who's to say he can't be loaned somewhere else if the calendar allows for it? So I don't think this is Messi being unambitious. I think this is Messi being smart, because as much as he wanted to stay in Europe, there was no offer in Europe. So he had to make a straight choice between Saudi Arabia or America.
What do you mean, Ben? Hold on. This is one of the most, recognized as the greatest of all time in football, the GOAT, many call him. Didn't have any other offers in Europe?
Played with Ronaldo, though, remember, as well. Wanted to leave Manchester United, didn't have a viable option. That's not anything disrespectful to either player. It's just the reality of their age and the costs. And I think here is the sort of dirty little secret, if you like, that knowing Barcelona were not going to be able to put anything together formal, it's very easy for Messi to say, I'd love to go back to Barca. It's very easy for Messi to intimate he'd love to play for free for Barca, because that wouldn't be allowed due to financial manipulation. What actually happens in La Liga is once the contract is made, because Barcelona are on a 2-year financial viability plan, and because they're over the squad cost limit, the financial experts at La Liga would give a minimum number that is not in breach of financial manipulation. And with Messi, that would likely still be sky high, which means Barcelona can't afford the deal. But if there was a scenario where Barcelona wanted Messi and to get Messi for peanuts, for nothing, then would Messi have actually accepted that? Or is he just saying that he wants to accept that because he knows he's not going to be held to account? And I think that is the little dirty secret in all of this, that Messi's not going anywhere as Lionel Messi and playing for peanuts. He got an amazing wage at PSG. He's getting an amazing wage in MLS. He would have got an amazing wage in Saudi Arabia. He would have expected a highly competitive wage at Barcelona.
It's a win-win, isn't it? If he says, hey, I'd love to come and I can't, and Barca say, we'd love to have you, but, we can't afford you according to the financial fair play rules, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, everybody's pleased to say, hey, they tried and he wanted to come back. Oh, I see it, Ben.
And this is what Barcelona will say now. They tried, they did everything in their power, they explored every single option, but it just wasn't possible. They're almost pinning it on La Liga, even though the La Liga rules are there to protect Barcelona, not somehow prevent them from signing Lionel Messi. So then, coming back to your question, what other European suitor wants Messi with that wage that he expects and potentially getting only a short-term deal? And because of the Saudi offer, those with money and non-financial problems, particularly Premier League clubs, are in a position where they would have been held to account by the Saudi offer. They wouldn't have been expected to match it, but definitely it would have been used as leverage. So really difficult. And I think if Messi was to move to another European club, it would have been Manchester City. Believe it or not, he was very close a few years back before joining PSG to moving to Manchester City. It really was seen as imminent and a very viable possibility, but it never came off. He went to PSG, and now I think that from Messi's point of view, if it wasn't to be Barcelona in Europe, then he was quite prepared to go away from Europe and take up another opportunity, and that's obviously where Inter Miami have been able to capitalise.
The takeover of the Saudi game, what's the big picture here? I mean, they're getting the bigger stars. Yes, we're hearing Ziyech as well might be going. We're seeing the big contracts. We're seeing the takeover of some of the teams as well in the top 4 leagues. What's the big picture here?
The big picture is that Saudi Arabia want the World Cup in 2030, and between now and then they want to grow their league and they want to bring on board a series of players in order to create rivalries, particularly with their Riyadh and Jeddah clubs, and 4 of them are all owned by PIF, the owners of Newcastle United. And it means that the approach to signing players is not really club-centric. Believe it or not, the clubs are kind of the last part in the equation. This is a government-backed strategy aimed to grow the league, aimed to promote tourism, aimed at signing stars, aimed at building global appeal, and ultimately aimed at using those players to not just promote football and the clubs that they're at, but wider Saudi Arabian culture. And that's where Benzema comes in, that's where N'Golo Kante comes in, that's where Cristiano Ronaldo comes in. So there's a list of about 20 elite stars. Messi was obviously on it as well. Sergio Busquets is another possibility too. Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino. Some there's high confidence, some there's low confidence. But Saudi Arabia are not looking to do this all in one go. They're looking to populate the club to begin with several stars, and then from there, over the course of really the next 7 years, add and add and add and get younger and younger and younger to the point where eventually it's a more competitive league, it's a more globally followed league, and that obviously benefits not only football in Saudi Arabia and also the Saudi-based players there as well, who will be ultimately elevated, and that should improve the national team as well, but it also helps promote tourism. Now, cynics will call that sports washing, and those within the Middle East and North Africa or close to the deals will refer to it more as just a sports vision to bring sport to Saudi Arabia, to bring stars to Saudi Arabia, to monetize the Saudi Pro League. And of course, in doing so, all of that will entail more profile and maybe more visitors, so that's the tourism part, and maybe more jobs, and generally also help promote a healthy lifestyle too. So that is a more forward-thinking and positive sports strategy, but there is clearly an element of sports washing in all of this as well. And all of that is part of the bigger picture. They're not signing Cristiano Ronaldo just to come and retire in the sun. They're signing Cristiano Ronaldo to help them expand both in and outside of sport.
Ladies and gentlemen, follow him on Twitter. It's at Jacobs Ben. His last tweet, one of my favorite. It simply says, and I quote, "As an aside, part of me is gutted we won't see Phil Neville manage Lionel Messi." Ben Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen. Ben, always great to have you.
All the best. Speak soon.
Thank you so much. It's Ben Jacobs there. We're going to not even take a break because we can't. Let's go straight into voice notes and take calls. The conversations were important. We needed to get to the bottom of them. They were long, but I know more now from the person reporting it, speaking to the agents and players, Ben Jacobs, than I did 15 minutes ago. Was well worth it. Let's start with the voice notes.
We gon' get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Thabiso from Bloemfontein. I would like to touch on the Messi issue. Messi is one of the best players in our era, with Ronaldo in that list. For me personally, I feel like Messi is scared of a challenge. Ever since Messi left Barcelona, he went to this, what I will call the weaker leagues. The Ligue 1 France is not that
Ligue
much of a strong league, which is dominated by PSG for the longest time. I thought Messi, when he left Barcelona, would go to England just to test himself.
Well, you just heard.
For
Nearly
me, I
happened.
think Messi is scared of the challenge. Also going to the MLS league, it's not that major. Also the Saudi Arabia league, that's only money there, not too much football. So for me personally, I believe Messi is scared of a challenge. Thabiso from Blue.
Appreciate you.
Hi, Andile. Yo, it's almost 22. Please take the calls and the voice notes. Yo, please, Andile. Siyakucela kuthi yo sifuna ukuzwa ama calls.
There they are.
You
know what? Even stop here. Stop here even. Let's take the calls. Even here you must stop. Let's take the calls straight to them. Malcolm, you're going to have to help me. I'm not wearing my glasses and it's far. I see the vowel there. Come on. Paxson. Paxson, are you there?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, first time on Spot 9 and Friday. Person du Centre.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, I think Bafana will play on 17 June at 3 p.m. at FNB Stadium.
No, Paxson, it's not 3 p.m. Come on.
Oh, 5 p.m.?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I'm terribly sorry. You got it wrong both times. You didn't follow this one, and I love you. You know I love hearing from you. I'm going to have to move on. Giving away a ticket, of course.
Please, guy.
Timmy, it's up to you. Oh, Timmy's already gone. That was Timmy. I wouldn't have done that. West in Tembisa.
Hi, Andile.
Hey, talk to me, boy. What's going on?
Andile, I'm telling you, the football war has been won by the Arabs. I mean, you look at golf. I mean, the Arabs have won the Arabs have won it as well.
Yeah, the PGA definitely folded.
Yeah, I mean, the Arabs have won it against the English, which is the USA.
Because now imagine you owning Newcastle, Man City, and Manchester United. You've won.
Yeah, the Arabs have won. I mean, I guess oil money has won it.
Sure.
So yeah. But what I can say as well, I mean, in a crowd there's always, the boss. I must say to you, I mean, somebody is leading and other people are following. Cristiano has went to the Arab,
and now everybody's going. And they judged him when he went.
Yeah. Now who's the GOAT?
Hi, West out in Tembisa. Let's steal just a couple of seconds there. Jackson is out in Olifant, I think that is. Jackson.
Yes, Andy. How's it?
Hey, you've got 30 seconds before I get killed. Go for it.
Yes, it's Bafana on Saturday 17 at 5.
Guys, we're going to be giving away another ticket tomorrow, so we'll double it for tomorrow. Jackson, you're letting me down, guys. Very quickly then, before I get killed. Cabello.
Okay, I don't know why you say so. I know you're playing 17, we're playing Muluku, but the time is 17 hours. It's 5 o'clock. Did you change the time? I think you're probably changing the time because Papa is playing Morocco 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I don't know if you've changed the time.
Okay, stop with the wahala. Listen, that's not the time that's given to me here. That's not the time that's given to me here. I'm looking at my script in front of me. Here it is. Timmy's written the time here. Timmy, are you sure with this time? He says he's 100% sure, Kamel. He says he's 100% sure.
70 hours, I know it. Because, Bafana is like Kaizer Chiefs. I support Bafana when they play in South Africa.
Okay,
I know, otherwise I'll get them, the game is over.
You know what, I'll tell you what. If Tim is wrong and, the callers are right, then we're going to give it to the first person that called and gave us that time. But for now, we've got to get out of here because we've past our time. Timmy, I hope you don't get into trouble with this one, with the time that you wrote here. It's 2 after the hour 7. I'm throwing you under the bus. We've got to get out of here. Pela pela ganzo.